Welcome to the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Great day, everyone. It is time for the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Listen, we have a great show for you today, but first, let me give you the title. It is called April Question and Answers. You know what? I decided last night as I was going through my email, I said, you know what? This would be a great podcast for April. And because we are at the end of the month of April, I said, well, this would be great. Here's the questions. And I did write the questions down, I have you to know. But I do not have that sheet of paper. It's in another room. But I did not want to spoil the moment as I'm recording my first video of the show. Normally I would do audio, and I was at my parents' house last week, you guys, and I was listening to the audio, and sometimes they like to listen to my audio, and I decided, I said, you know what, audio is terrible. I need to do the show in video as I am going through some of the discussions. So I decided this morning to video record the Sonia Buchanan Show. And again, our subject is called April Question and Answers. But sporadically, I'm gonna have to think about the order in which I wrote the questions down. But first, let me get to the one that pertained to spirituality. I had someone ask me, who are some of the people have influenced me in the religion or the spiritual part of my life? Because as they was writing the email, they explained that I'm always talking about my relationship with God. Well, let me just answer this for you. You know, there have been a lot of people have influenced me spiritually. But first, let me just tell you one that really have impacted me. I think that it will impact you, and it impact a lot of people who are not had an upbringing in the church. But there was a guy called Kenny Hagin. He was an older prophet believer. And what really inspired me, someone in the early 2000s gave me a book of his, and it was called I Believe in Visions. I believe that's the name of the book. It's called Kenny Hagin, I Believe in Visions. And I read this book, and I was so impressed with the book. I could not put the book down. I actually stayed up the entire night to read this book. I did not sleep because that is how the book was really good, and it was very impactful. It also gave me a personal, I felt like I was sitting there in front of him, and he was talking to me verbatim with the book. That's how impactful he was. And Kenny Hagin, let me give you a little details about him. He was a pastor or a preacher who had a sickness unto death. And he believed that he was saved until he had a sickness unto death, and he kept slipping in and out, going through death moments. He kept going out, coming in, and he realized maybe he was not saved. He said that he was going into a dingy place. So he had someone to come over to give his life, to rededicate his life to the Father, to the Lord. But in the book, as I stated, that he had a sickness unto death, and he wanted to understand the scripture, Mark 11, 23, 24. You say unto this mountain, be thee removed and cast into the sea. And the mountain to him was that sickness that he was dealing with, because he would have died of this sickness. And he went to explain his relationship, that he was getting understanding about the scripture, so he could actually get up and walk after he's healed based on the knowledge of this scripture. And the book goes on and talk about his ministry and how he ended up being a pastor. And it's so impactful. I recommend everyone to just pick up a copy of this book and just read it, because he was not someone who grew up in a place where this is going to be your destiny as a pastor. He became a pastor because a healing pastor, because of that sickness unto death. The book is so remarkable written well. He explains a lot of details of the experiences that he went through as a pastor, as a healing pastor. So if you can, for that person who wrote the questions, that question about who have inspired me in the spiritual aspects, get a copy of Kenny Hagin's book, I Believe in Visions. It will bless your soul. Now, one of the things I want to say to you in this show is I never reveal the person who is sending me emails because of privacy. Okay? And the number 2 question, I'm trying to think, because I don't have my sheet with me. I left it in my bedroom. Another question was, they wanted to know what are some of the community things that I do, because I never reveal them on video. Well, you know, you're not the only one who asked me about that. I ran into someone and they asked me, well, actually I was talking to them about some of the things that they do, and they were videoing while they were doing the community efforts pertaining to the homeless people. And I remember that, and I was really impressed with her ability to go out and do that. And she was recording it, and I was telling her that was very nice of her to do that. And we went into the discussion about, do I do that? Well, let me tell y'all, I said y'all, let me tell you why I do not record a lot of my community things. And I don't know, I just don't do that, because it's nothing wrong with you recording it. I just don't feel comfortable in recording someone when I'm assisting, and especially if they're not living according to the lifestyle that they desire, and they just fell on hardcore, they're struggling, and most often, if I'm going to record someone, and if I'm assisting, I always ask them, is it okay to take a picture? Is it okay to record? Just to give them that respect. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those type of people when I'm struggling and I'm really having a hard time dealing with something, I do not want to be on blast like that. I just wanted to just deal with my circumstances and not be on video. I just feel a little intimate about respecting the individual, because I don't want this to be on video. Because right now we in this video going viral and all of this stuff. And when you're going through a lot of hard times, I try to respect the person and be able to just assist them. Because there are times when I'm at the gas station and I would see, and I never forget this, I would see on Sundays, because when I was working and I had to drive to a location, I would always fill up my car on a Sunday evening, and I would always see women or men who have their kids in the car, and I would take notice that they only putting $5 to $10 in their gas tank. And that used to disturb me. And sometimes I would ask them, questions about, you're only putting $10 this Sunday evening. Do you work? And I would just ask questions, and they say yes. And I would just take the time out and just fill their gas tank up. I would do things like that as far as the community. I mostly do that as a community. Of course, I do the community where I see mothers and children struggling, trying to pay for their groceries. And if I'm in line, I would go ahead and just pay for the items that they have, because obviously the items that they are trying to pay for, they need those items. So I just go ahead and pay for it. That's if I have the extra money. Now, I'm not walking around here with a whole lot of money, but what I do not want is that a mother and a family to suffer for the things they actually need. Now they have to put things back. But I do try to do stuff like that in community, and try to assist as much as I can, because it's not all about organized community. It's about just community in general. When you're seeing your brothers and sisters struggling, or they need a little assistance, you don't have to ask them. You see it. It's right there in their face. Just go ahead and assist. You don't even have to know that they need an assistance. You can do it privately without them even knowing it. But those are some of the things that I do in the community. Number 3 questions. I'm trying to think of the questions. I get relationship questions all the time, you know. Someone always asks me, am I in a relationship, or am I married? Because I never talk about those things. That is one of those areas too that I'm very private in. You know, I'm not married, but as far as relationships, that's something that I don't really like to discuss. And let me tell you why I don't like to discuss it. I grew up in having, now I'm not one of those people who are very promiscuous. I'm not one who just date everywhere, you know. But when I have someone do approach me, as I was growing up, I used to have that all the time. Of course, you know, young people, you get boys always want to spend time with you or get to know you. And I will do that, and I will be so excited with friends that I have. Next thing you know, my friends have now swooped them away, and now they are with them. And, you know, and I learned early not to reveal your relationships in the early stages, because they may not last. I don't know. This is my experience, you know. But they end up being friends with my friends, and I'm like, this is not right. You know, I'm not feeling comfortable with someone that's new in my life, and then they off with Jane over here. Didn't like that at all. After that happened on many occasions, I decided to keep my private relationships, you know, private from everyone. Their ears do not need to be near anyone. Their only ears need to be with my lips and my tongue. And so I learned early to keep that privately. So you won't see me or hear me talk about relationships on the Sonia Buchanan Show or Comfort of Promises broadcast, only because of my earlier experience. Now, maybe if I'm seriously dating someone and we're serious and we both have a mutual consent that we are serious, then maybe we'll talk about it. So, but because of my early experiences, I'm too old to have those oops with people who are interested in me, and now they're over here with my friends. Now, did I get upset about it? I was disturbed about it, but then I realized maybe that was a good thing, because it was easily to walk over to Jane and Sally. Maybe they did me a favor, you know, saving me from hardship. I don't know, but, you know, if you're in a relationship in the beginning stages, you may want to keep that privately. You may want to keep it off of social media. You may want to just protect it, because it's treasure. These days in time, it's treasure to find someone that is a good catch. You know, you want to make sure you keep it pure. The number 3 question is, gosh, I'm trying to think. They wanted to know, they asked me, what would be a great time to start walking out their purpose in life? What would be a great time to start walking out the purpose in your life? Right now. If you know what you are called to do, even if you don't know the fullness of it, but you have some inkling of knowledge of what you were called to do, start walking it out, because as you take those steps, then it starts to unveil. What I learned in this journey, that everything that I do right now, I had some exposure over the course of my life. It brings back remembrance when I'm struggling trying to do something. Giving an example, I remember having, just didn't know what to do. And I was awake. You know how you just wake up and you know, okay, I need to do this? Well, I woke up about 2 a.m. in the morning, and I knew that I needed to create a website. Now, I had no idea what type of website to create. And then, of course, you know, there's over thousands of website designers and website places where you can have a commitment to. And I was going through all these different websites and trying to figure out which one of these companies that I was going to register for. It drove me absolutely crazy. I think I spent maybe 3 weeks looking. And then to this one day, I just got frustrated. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up on the computer looking for the best place. And boom, there it was, a website that was perfect for me. I get to create it and design for myself because I didn't have thousands, $2,000 for someone to design my website. And because I've had some exposure of programming and had some type of understanding how to do the programming part, I found a company that allowed you to do that. And plus, this company had videos explaining every detail if I got stuck in areas. So that was perfect for me. Then they redesigned their whole format where everything was much, much easier, which I'm so appreciative of it. And I've also have bond a relationship with the tech support. There's a guy there that always answers my questions. I always get him all the time. And so over the years, I've bond. It's been over 10 years since I've been with this company, and they have been excellent in everything that they do, or they answer my questions. But I really like them. So back to your question is that if you know some type of knowledge of what you're called to do in what areas. In previous shows, I've talked about the 7 mountains, and that mountain is family, religion, government, business, media, and arts and entertainment. And there is another one. I always leave out the 7th one. It's family, government, religion, business, media, arts and entertainment. I always leave out one, but there are 7 mountains, and those 7 mountains will conclude one of those mountains that you're part of. Medical is, I had to ask somebody about what medical would be, what mountain, and medical is business. It's under the business mountain. Of course, you know, family is under the mountain of family. That's people who are, that's in the family association, assisting family. Like you go to the, I call it defects. I think it's, I don't know the terminology of defects. But of course, you know, the government is, you know, the federal and the state and all of those things. But there's one of those mountains that you're part of, and that's a place to start. And then you can just, you know, follow through. But I always say that whoever is the CEO of that mountains controls, like, you know, the platform of the rest of the people, right? This is why you should create your own platform, so you can be the CEO over your platform, and you be the head honcho over your platform, so that you will be the one who is dictating what goes on your purpose, because that was the intended purpose in which all humanity was created. One of the things that I found out when I was reading the Word of God, and I always go back to Genesis 1 and 2, and I always look at the story of Adam, where God gave him his own garden. We all have our own garden. We all are leadership over our own garden, and for us to till that garden and to protect it and make sure that the things are growing there and advancing there. Of course, you know, every fruit has a seed, and it's replanted, and it grows and it blooms, and you bless and you sell. That is the whole stream of knowing your purpose and knowing who you are, so that you can tend to your own garden. And but like I stated, if you know just a little bit of what you're called to do on one of those mountains, and then just go from there, because like I stated, once you get up and start moving towards that area, then everything will start to unveil. Creativity and innovation and ideas, inventions, or start to unveil in that, because now your energy is now towards the mechanism of who you are. And things, I always say, there's so many resources in the universe. And the universe, when you start walking out your purpose, it's like pulling those resources down, because now the universe is awakened to who you are and say, oh my goodness, she's awake now. She's tilling her ground, and let's give her this resources. One of the things that I do know, God does not overwhelm you. Although this is what you're called to do, he doesn't overwhelm you. He allows you to take those steps. And each time you take those steps towards unveiling your purpose, resources start to come. The energy now is starting to come. The frequency of who you are start to come. And monetary started to come in that area. I'll never forget when I was learning this course, is finding out, it says, why am I broke in this area? Why this? Because you're walking out towards who you are. And once you start doing that, the resources, not just resources in monetary, but resources as in wisdom and knowledge, and the people who are in the same vibrations and the same frequency as you are, it start to come towards you, because now you're walking towards it. I would never forget this one gentleman, he was teaching, and this impacted me. And this is going to be our last question for today. This impacted me so much that when I think about it, he is absolutely right. He says, you don't have to worry about too much seeking out for people. Say, hey, look at me. I have all this knowledge. I have this. I have all this stuff. He gave an example of a fruit tree that is planted. He says, that fruit tree never have to go and knock on each door and say, hey, I am in full bloom. My fruit is ready to be picked. He said that fruit tree never uproot itself to go to your house to say, come eat some of my fruit. He says, no, when you are hungry, you go and find that fruit tree. He says, just keep doing what you're doing. He says, because when people are hungry for the knowledge, they're hungry for understanding who they are, when they're hungry for that particular vitamin or that particular fruit, they will start to pick from your tree. And that is when you are now in your purpose. You just make sure that you are full bloom. Make sure that you are understanding everything about the purpose in you. Are read books, find out who is in that area of what you're called to do, and people will find you. I will never forget that he was explaining that people found him. People found him that he didn't even know that they even existed, but they found him. He said, but the moral of the story is that a fruit tree never uproots itself and walks to different people to let them know they are ready to be picked, to be, I call canned, to be able to make jelly off of it. He says, no. He says that fruit tree is seasonal. And a peach tree in Georgia is not a peach tree and doesn't have fruit in the wintertime, but it has fruit in the summertime, seasonal for this area in the South. But he explains, and he goes on, and he made it so plain and simple. It can, with that analogy, it can cause you to not have anxiety about, well, how are they going to find me? How are they going to do this? You make sure that you are gifted and understanding everything, every part of your creative being and your purpose, then people will find you. They will see the light in that particular area, whatever that area is. It could be a business owner. It could be a hairdresser. It could be a nail technician. It could be a pastor. It could be a businessman. It could be a corporation. But people will find you. They will find you when you are ready and in season, and you are ready to supply the need of someone that's hungry. But basically, that's just be comfortable. Just learn everything. Read all the books. Just live your life with joy and happiness and fulfilling your inward self, because once you feel your inward self, it causes wholeness to be upon you. But listen, you guys, that's all we're going to talk about today. I just wanted to just go over a few. I wanted to do at least 5 questions, but I'm long-winded. But this is our first podcast being video recorded on the Sonya Buchanan Show, and I hope you enjoy watching me. My hair is not done, but you know, I wanted to do it just naturally, how I do audio, but this is the first, and I hope it's not going to be the last. But listen, you guys, I want to expound on our websites and our books, and go to my author page. You can go to any of my links, and you can click on the link in, and it'll show you all the contacts and areas and websites that we have with the Sonya Buchanan Show, and also the Confident Promises broadcast. And also, purchase some books, purchase some t-shirts. We have a tee shop where we have over probably 500 different logos and t-shirts for you for the summer, the spring and the summer. Go there and purchase some t-shirts because it helps support the community. Like I stated previously, that I assist people whenever I see them struggling in areas. That t-shirt at the tea shop supports that, and just come on board with us and join our community and say hello sometimes. But listen, you guys, this is the end of the show, and I hope you enjoyed the Sonya Buchanan Show. Again, our title is called April Question and Answer. And until next week, until next time, this is your girl, Sonya Buchanan, with the Sonya Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Bye, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Bye, guys.
Did you know by being the best you in just 60 seconds a day can add up to a positive, better you in a total of 365 minutes a year? That's 6 hours exactly. Be the best you, even if it's slowly achieved by seconds. You'll gain more to being a prosperous you. Remember, as you take steps, whether they're small or large, the end results will be surprisingly great. Visit us on comfortingpromises.com, and while you're there, visit our store with the latest products available.
Thank you for joining our podcast today. The podcast was produced and edited by Sonya Buchanan. For more information about the host, you can go to sonyabuchanan.com. For information about Confident Promises broadcast community, you can go to confidentpromises.com. Thank you for listening to our broadcast, The Sonya Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Until next time, bye, you guys.